meeting for Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is being recorded and is also, will be available on Marshfield Community Television after the fact. In the event of a technological breakdown here, the meeting will continue in person. So, first order of business is the minutes from August 20th.
I received edits.
I had, okay, and so, anyone have anything additional to add at this time?
No.
I move to accept the orders of August 20th, 2025 as edited. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our first hearing is a continued one. It is 22 Cove Street, and the hearing officer is Commissioner Malafronte.
Okay. So, we have the applicant here. So, I think in general, the only comment we had was regarding the landing for the stairs.
Yes.
And that was a question whether it was going to be driven piles or,
So, yeah, so it's a very small egress. It's just really a set of stairs up to the slider, as you can see in the photo there. We were actually the second contractor that came in on this because the homeowner found out the first one never tried to pull a permit or anything. So that's why we had come in. So he had already basically demoed the stairs out and everything, so this, poor homeowner didn't even have a set of stairs.
Could I just interrupt and
Sure.
ask you to identify yourself?
Sure,
For
yep,
the record.
Mike Biviano General Contracting. So by the time we got there, the stairs were already demoed out. The homeowner had hired us, we had filed for the permit, but the previous contractor, what he did was he took a block of like 12 by 12 pressure treated, almost like what you would see on the houses that we elevate or raise up, and then he put down two pieces below that as like the post that you normally put under. So it's not concrete, it's a pressure treated piece of wood, because we usually never do concrete down down in the sand areas, and that's what's down there. It's not concrete, it's actually like the 12 by 12 block of wood that the stairs sit on.
okay. I guess that also explains when the work can commence. Permit. I don't think we had any other questions unless the commission had any. I think that clarifies the landing at least. Do you have any other questions or?
No additional.
Okay. And I assume the work's all done.
It's completed now, yes, yep.
All right, Mike, so you want to, do you want to list the conditions on the cover letter and then we can?
Yeah, I would suggest the following. Ensure best management practices are followed before commencing the work, obtain all pertinent permits, and see the conservation administrator or agent for any additional work beyond these approved work activities.
Awesome. With that, I'll make a motion to issue a determination of applicability with a +5 and a -2. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next is another continued hearing, 101 Avon Street. The hearing officer is Commissioner Miles.
Okay. Is the applicant here? No?
I do not see them in person or on Zoom. However, I do have a statement outlining the design of the shower here from the applicant. It states, per our phone call yesterday, I'll be fastening the posts of the shower enclosure with L brackets to the home, and the posts will sit on top of the existing brick patio. A bit of a unorthodox design. I'm not sure I've seen the posts sitting directly on a stone patio before.
Yeah. I guess that's fine. I don't have any other problems with that. As long as the doors don't go all the way to and form like a solid enclosure all the way around. There's some space on the bottom. Any other questions from commissioners?
So it's just going to attach to the walls of the house, essentially, and the legs will rest on the patio.
Yes, that's correct.
Did you have any special conditions?
I would suggest the following special conditions: ensure best management practices are followed before commencing the work, obtain all pertinent permits, to see myself or the agent for guidance on work beyond the approved work activities. And perhaps you'd like to include a condition about spacing underneath the panels, like 6 inches or something.
Yeah.
Okay,
at least.
that's typically standard with structures in a barrier beach coastal dune type environment.
Okay. All right, then I'm gonna move to issue determination of applicability with +5 and a -2. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, next up is a new hearing. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, to consider the request for determination of applicability for 1810 Ocean Street, and the hearing officer is Commissioner O'Donnell.
Okay, thank you. So Omar, are you here? You want to talk about what you would like to do?
Yes, my name's Omar, one of the owners of Sunday Society, me and my wife. As you see in the back of that patio, there's an existing patio there with crushed stone. And the plan was we're thinking about adding, just extending it 2 parking spaces towards that green dumpster, as you can see, just to provide more seating for outdoor seating. We would keep the same surface, the crushed stone, so water can go down, unless the board wants me to do some other system, whatever needs to get done.
So right now, it's a permeable surface.
Correct, as of right now.
And the plan is, for the expansion, you're going to take over 2 parking spaces?
keep it exactly the same
Expand
thing.
it that way. Is it going to be framed with the concrete, the addition?
I believe that's how we're gonna do it, blocks or concrete as the exterior frame.
Okay.
Correct.
And that's going to be permeable as well? And then you're
Yes.
gonna- And you have a ramp. You're going to have,
We're gonna probably need a handicap ramp. I was
Yeah.
talking to my design team, so it'd probably go in that parking space on the side so that it has handicap access.
okay.
I'm assuming that's what I need to get done, so that's why I add that part in.
And you were in front of us a month or so ago, and you cleared all the
Yes.
vegetation.
Yes.
That was overtaking the
Correct,
fence
sir.
along
Correct.
the periphery there, along the sidewalk.
Yes, sir.
So I was out, I went out, looked at the project. So it makes sense to me. It's, it's nice, going to be a nice vista there,
Okay.
sitting outside. Mike, do you have any comments on the
Yeah,
project?
when we were on site, I met Mr. LaRossi on site during my site visit. We discussed this tree here. In order to put the fence where they proposed, this tree's in the way, and it's also been deemed hazardous by an arborist. There are some dead branches at the top, and Mr. LaRossi was inquiring if he could roll that tree into this permitting to allow him to cut that tree.
Okay. The commission, you said that's dead, because that wasn't, that you talked.
That wasn't
that's
part of
not
the
on
original
RDA.
cutting
It was not.
scope. The original cutting scope didn't call for any trees at all to be cut. And then kind of once they got through the vegetation and realized where the fence and structures were going to go, they realized that this one was in the way and also hazardous.
Okay.
Since the patio is gonna be there, my only concern is, I talked to some people and they said it's gonna naturally fall down in a year or two, whatever, and the concern is the patio's there. I don't want it to hurt somebody or damage a car or whatnot,
Okay.
and that was my concern.
All right, commissioners, do you have any questions, comments? All right, anybody in the audience? Any comments or questions? Okay, so I think I'm going to close the hearing, and I'd like to issue the DOA with a +5 and a -2. Do I have a second?
Do we want to stipulate that you're including the tree?
So, yeah, how do we want to include the tree in the?
I could include it
I
on the
should have
cover
gone
letter.
through the special conditions first, sorry.
Yeah, so I could add it to the special conditions on the cover letter and have it read, ensure best management practices are followed before commencing the work, obtain all pertinent permits, see myself or the agent for guidance beyond the approved work activities, and then we can condition that tree. I'm not sure if the commission wants that to be stumped or a replacement tree in the area. We could add something like that to the conditions as well.
Do you think you could replant another tree?
There's room,
Mitigation for that?
there's room in the slope. I'm assuming I can find somewhere to, if you really want, I'm sure I can do that.
That would be great.
It's a deep slope. I can have my guy go down there,
Okay.
pull another tree if you guys prefer.
So, Mike, your notes mentioned possibly a eastern red cedar, or,
I think eastern red cedars would do well in that particular area.
okay.
He's right, okay.
All right, so do we want to condition that tree or just a tree? And do you want to pick the area where it should be that makes the most sense? or-
Yeah, we could meet out on site and decide an
Whatever.
area, but I think an eastern red cedar or some sort of a shrub, something that is substantial and has a good root system in that area would do well.
Okay.
I would just point out that if you're trying to maintain some view of the marsh, maybe a deciduous tree would fit the bill better.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah, it doesn't have to go right in that spot.
Right, that spot, it could go to the right.
Could go to the side or
Okay.
whatever, but if
Where the
you're.
Regardless of tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a shrub or a cedar is ultimately going to impact
Yeah.
the view.
Sure. We can go closer towards the dumpster, away from where we initially, yeah, whatever.
Yep,
I can do that with him or whatever. you guys-
sure, yeah, Mike
Yeah.
can go to the
Mike.
site and
Perfect.
you can talk about that.
Okay, sorry I jumped the gun there a little bit. I think we're all got everything buttoned up with the special conditions. Okay, so I'm going to suggest issuing the DOA with a +5 and a -2. Have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Omar.
Thank you. sir.
Thank you.
So you got your sign up, huh, for the,
Yeah, still
good.
still a
Yeah,
lot of
looks
work to do,
great.
but thank you. We're working on it piece by piece. Thank you.
Okay, next we have another continued hearing. It is 46 Foster Avenue, and the hearing officer is Commissioner Platt.
Thank you. All right, so if, it's from the last meeting. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So we were going to confirm that the floodplain permit had actually gone through. It was applied for. There was a concern with the outdoor kitchen, that grill and bar area being an obstruction to flow of water. And that, would that be permitted by FEMA? Just to recap what we had talked about before. So where are we at now?
We spoke with Andrew Stewart, who I believe was supposed to be here.
It's right
He's
right behind
behind
you.
your.
He showed up. Oh,
blocked our view.
you looked at-
We're behind the curtain now.
So we're not really sure that the floodplain permit is actually going to address specifically your concerns, and that it's kind of not really related to what you were worried about in the first place. So I believe it has been reviewed and is all clear at this point, and we're just looking to wrap things up on your end here.
Okay. Andrew, do you have any comments?
Yeah, Andrew Stewart, Building Commissioner, Floodplain Administrator. So they had applied for a floodplain permit. None of the work that they're proposing requires any other permitting other than Conservation Commission permitting. So it's up to you guys to do whatever you want to do as far as protecting the flood zone and the landform and the resource area.
Thanks. All right, so sort of back where we started then, but that floodplain permit's all set, so that's good. We did discuss that if this was gonna be based on that going through, before. So I know we had some concerns about the utilities, not being above base flood elevation, Corey. Is that still,
I guess it's fine if
It's
doesn't-
been, right.
if it's been cleared by the floodplain administrator.
I mean, we can take a look at it again if you guys have any comments.
Is this gas, does this come from the street, or is it propane?
No, I believe that's supposed to extend out from the existing
The
house
street?
line. Yeah, yeah.
And I'll just ask if there's anyone on Zoom or in the public that has any comments on this.
I have a question if no one in the public is a comment or question. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but this area, if the house were, if this, I don't, is this house on piles? Or is it, like, what is the elevation of the house comparatively to the area? Is it, so the finished
So-
floor is about 20, and I don't see any spots. What's the contour down at the bottom? 17? So, are we allowed to permit, like, outdoor kitchens below or within areas that see flooding, and as, particularly the gas fireplace as well? Is that like,
Yeah, I
That's
didn't-
what Corey, that was
Yeah.
the question Corey raised
I didn't
at the first meeting, and
think that,
understood that
would?
was not something FEMA would allow, but
yeah, I mean, I've just, the outdoor grill and bar area, that's gonna be solid to the ground, right?
Yes, it is now as well.
Oh, it's already
Sorry.
there.
That's already concrete in the back. That's all concrete.
Oh, yeah, but there's no
kitchen.
area.
Oh, no, there's the fire pit is out there. Fire pit is out there currently.
Okay. Yeah, I guess if the floodplain administrator doesn't have any problems with it, then it's fine. Fine with me.
and then I guess the other question that I think came up was regarding the flagstone. Is that gonna be, it says the existing concrete to be overlaid with flagstone, so is that gonna be adhered to the concrete?
Yeah, that's kind of it's like a hardscaping. It's, what's the word I'm looking for? Appearances. Can't think of the word I'm looking for right now. Aesthetic, that's the word. Someone just said it. It's an aesthetic finish. It's just gonna go on top of the concrete and.
How does it get adhered down to
Is
the
it
ground?
adhered?
So water can permeably flow through. You lay down.
Well, it won't flow through anything, because it's concrete, right?
Water's gonna do exactly what it's doing right now, and there is, against the seawall, concrete being removed, which would be replaced with
Right, so this is the
permeable,
planting bed
And
here,
everything currently
That's all
flows right to that seawall.
and then they're just putting the flagstone over the top.
is your concern that the flagstone
Well, I mean,
is going to move?
yeah, I mean, if you have like
water
a
flow.
washout over the wall, which,
It's large format as well, so like 2 foot by 3 foot pieces. It's not small little individually placed flags.
It's gonna be watered down, right?
No, dry wood.
I don't think we can permit something like that in this area. I mean,
I don't know what the driveway
Three
is.
by,
You can certainly water down if that's what you prefer, but if we're trying to keep things permeable, the water can flow down through.
it's not permeable, though. It's being laid on concrete, which is impermeable.
Correct.
So there's no,
But I'm not wet laying, I'm not applying more concrete, more mortar.
right, my concern is if it's not adhered to the concrete, which I don't know how that would be done. When you have overwash over the seawall, it could potentially go, I understand they're heavy, but the water is pretty forceful. It could kind of shift on the concrete and maybe over property lines and such.
So do you prefer for it to be wet laid?
I would assume, I don't, Corey, do you have an opinion on that?
That can easily be done as well.
I prefer to just remove all the concrete and replace it with pervious pavers.
That whole stretch, though, is concrete behind the seawall, I think, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah. Not just, you know, this property.
They have, to the, looking at the ocean to the right, they do have, I think it's gravel on that side, but the other side is concrete. And they are removing, you know, there's an overall reduction in impervious. It just, to your point, I mean, I'm not sure, so dry laid, that's just, you're placing the flagstones on
Correct.
top without
If
adhering.
you're replacing pavers, you're placing 1 inch of sand and then the paver, and those are dry. You're not adhering pavers to a slab of concrete.
I don't really know
You
anything
know,
about
if we
doesn't
relate
say.
this to like other projects that have come before us, like a few months ago, I think it was on Bay Ave, there was a discussion regarding flagstone pavers being placed kind of in a similar area. That area was actually pervious,
Right, that was,
and I think we urge them to not
to
do that.
not do that.
And this one is being placed on impervious. I don't see the benefit, first of all, besides the aesthetic appeal. I guess if they were adhered to the concrete, it would be a little bit different. I don't know.
I can't see Andrew, but Andrew, do you have any concerns about something,
Yeah.
you know, large stones shifting in overwash?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's, you know, not, like I said, there's not a permitting side of the building department on this or zoning. But looking at it from a floodplain perspective, I totally agree with what Sam's pointing out. You know, is it appropriate for this area with that? I don't, that's up to you to determine ultimately. But, you know, the things that we're looking for is to encourage the water to drain. We're not trying to redirect things that are coming over the seawall. We don't wanna create new flood patterns. You know, the house is not, it's not a substantial improvement, so it's not like anything attached to the house has to, you know, come into compliance, but, you know, accessory things, it's not really a building permit type of situation, but is it appropriate for this resource area?
Right.
Is really the way you guys should be looking at it, I think.
Thank you.
And going back to like the gas fireplace too, if this were to be like a new house, my understanding is all the utilities would be elevated. And that very similarly viewed in my eyes. I mean, I guess the kitchen too, right? That's the purpose of why.
Yeah, it's a grill, right?
Yeah.
All the gas lines for all those houses up on piles, they run underground right up to underneath the house. So those are in the ground beneath the flood zone, if you're thinking about it that way. Every house has a gas line underneath the flood zone that lives along the coastline, if that's the concern there.
I think it's less concern about the gas line and the connection point and the actual appliance being at that elevation.
Right, having that not raised up, not the gas line.
Is there an electrical component to that gas fireplace as well? Because if there is, then that might change things to a no-go anyway because of an if it requires an electrical component to spark it and that's below flood elevation, then that's something that's being installed away from the house, that's a separate installation. And if it requires electrical and that's gonna be below the design flood elevation, then that would
Electrical
be
is
no.
not required.
No electrical?
No electrical.
They say no electrical on this one.
So if the flagstones are adhered and not dry laid, that would be better. I'm just trying to even picture this being elevated. Have you seen elevated kitchens outside in these types of areas?
Yeah, they're just on a deck.
Ah.
you know, the whole, concrete structure next to the raised planter with the concrete and everything, that's just, we'll redirect flow and channelize it between the house and this, whatever's on the, is that a fence?
Mm-hmm.
Lattice fence?
On the left, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know if it's gonna be as considered a complete obstruction to flow. And I think it probably would redirect the natural flow of what's existing.
I agree. I'm trying to see what the dimensions are here of.
I mean, unfortunately, if this isn't allowed, I just feel like it's a straight answer thing of what we should do, being in the floodplain, but.
I think
There doesn't seem to be any specific
yeah, I don't think-
reason to say it's not allowed.
Except for channelization of water.
It's, I mean, it's, current conditions are, is the raised planter there?
No, they're putting it in.
They're putting that in. How high is that going to be?
Is that raised? That planting bed in the back?
No, in the back.
No, the one.
I didn't think so. That's not a raised,
on-
that's not a raised
Oh, I was
planter in the back.
talking about the one on the side.
No, I'm looking at the one on the side along the.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Simple 18-inch planter.
18 inches, okay.
all of those raised elements can cause the water to channelize and be redirected into different directions, potentially towards the house and certainly could break up the concrete.
It could affect the foundation.
The
Long
concrete,
term.
currently everything grades to the ceiling. So when it rains, everything goes straight to the ceiling. And that concrete against the seawall is being removed, probably 6 feet off, just because it's been undermined. And that's filled with clean gravel stone for drainage.
Oh, but only on the left-hand side, correct, where the planting bed is? But concrete's gonna remain on the right side.
That's, I mean, on both, the property adjacent to the left is solid concrete as well, and both of their concrete patios meet and touch, as in like one solid floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this is currently a step down, like 10 to 12 inches from the neighbor's concrete patio with the pour, then it was formed, and then it was poured. This was poured about 10 to 12 inches higher. There's like a step between the two properties.
I'd feel
So
better.
to me, the concrete is there, some of it's been removed, so that's a step in the
Right.
right
Right,
direction.
like I said before, it is a
When-
reduction.
When you think about what else we require, you know, in areas like this, if there's any fencing or anything, we require that it's 6 inches up to allow flow underneath. So that's about the only comparable thing I can think of.
Mhm.
Can you
That doesn't seem right.
keep the, can you keep it, the grill bar area 6 inches up?
Is that something we can do?
Yes.
Yes. That's something we can do. We could leave a 6-inch space beneath that.
Flow to get under there?
Absolutely.
Does that make it consistent with other things we do?
It makes it better.
I don't remember the last time we've had a similar, so. All right, maybe if that's raised up 6 inches, like we would do with a fence, and if the flagstone is adhered, wet laid, is that the right? I think that would be a couple of steps in the right direction. Does everybody agree with that?
Yep.
Yeah, all right. Sam, you good?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
All right, Mike, any conditions that you want to list out?
Yes, I would suggest the following special conditions, 1 through 18, which are standard special conditions. Prior to construction, condition 5 and 2, to have pre-construction meeting and stake out the site. During construction, condition 11, to ensure best management practices are followed. After construction, condition 1, to file for a certificate of compliance. And then to keep erosion control in place throughout the duration of ground disturbance. And condition the 6 inches of space underneath the kitchen structure to allow for the flowage of water, and also to wet lay the flagstone.
Thank you. Okay, I vote to close the hearing then and issue the order of conditions to include the conditions listed by Mike. Can I have a second, please?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 58 Parker Street. In compliance with the regulations of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Code of the Town of Marshfield, Chapter 294, Wetlands Protection, a public hearing will be held by the Marshfield Conservation Commission on Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, to consider the notice of intent filed for 58 Parker Street, and the hearing officer is Commissioner Miles.
Okay. Is anybody here from 58 Parker Street?
Hi. How you doing? James from Atlantic Coast Engineering.
Hi.
You got me good?
Yes, do you want to go ahead and explain the project?
Yeah, perfect. The proposal is to remove the existing garage, as you can see there on the screen, and construct a modest elevated accessory dwelling unit measuring 21 by 24 feet with a small timber deck. The new ADU will be supported on piles, which allows us to minimize ground disturbance and maintain a natural drainage pattern. The only new addition beyond replacing the garage overhead is a small 6 by 10 timber deck, which will be on the southern side, supported on piles with an open slab design to allow rainwater to flow through. The finished floor elevation of the ADU will be 15 feet, 6 feet above the flood level. Right now, the garage is on slab, as you can see there. There is a pine in the back that may have to be replaced during the driving of piles, but the owner is amenable for moving that pine on a different location on the property. So we feel that this is a minimal disturbance type of project.
Thank you. Yeah, I visited the site today, and did notice the pine. And it looks like that probably would have to be removed.
Right.
So, yeah, we would definitely want to replace that pine
Right.
somewhere near where it currently is. It looks like there's space behind the garage to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Did we have a pile plan?
Yes. Let me pull that up on the screen. So here the red dots indicate on the site plan are the proposed pile locations. And will the deck be cantilevered, or will it be on its own piles?
It'll be on its own piles as well.
Okay.
Okay, so since it's barrier beach, coastal dune, it's driven wooden piles, and...
Right, southern yellow pine.
All right. Any questions from the commission?
I would just ask that you show us the deck piles on the plan.
Okay.
And also, how is that staircase to be supported? Is that on driven piles as well?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, this area just wouldn't be a good resource area to put in a concrete slab.
Yeah, we don't, no intention of concrete
Perfect.
this area.
So under the garage, is there currently a concrete floor to that garage?
I am unaware, I haven't been in that garage myself, but.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, okay.
No, go get yours in your room. No, go get yours in your room.
What's
So,
that?
I just muted somebody who seems like they accidentally unmuted themselves.
Oh, okay.
yeah, I would just say that if there is a concrete floor that be removed, so it be natural ground cover underneath. And the utilities, those are gonna just come from
Existing, correct.
existing, okay. And there's sewer, so you don't need septic. Yeah, I don't have any problems with it. Any comments from public?
But one question, Mike, I didn't make it down there, where, the back of the lot is going out into the town beach property.
Yep.
Is there any concern about encroachment, or are there, is there
It seems like there's
back there that you don't have to worry about it, or?
It seems like there's a historic footpath that leads over this dune here, as you can see. Additionally, there's some like patio furniture just kind of scattered in the area between the deck and this garage. It seems like that's been in use for a number of years. There's no permanent ground surfacing in that area, simply foot traffic and like PVC lawn furniture.
Okay, so you don't see a need for conservation markers on the back of the lawn?
The commission could choose to put conservation markers there. It's encouraged that people do not walk through the dunes. However, this is, as you can see by this photo here, there's a well-used historic path through the dunes to get to Wrexham.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about it turning into a living area, you know, if you get more people living on that lot, you know, with an ADU and everything.
Oh, right. That's a fair point.
Sorry, what was the concern? I couldn't hear.
Possibly just putting conservation markers on the two back corners of the lot. I just throw that out there for the rest of the commission. Anybody?
I agree.
I'm always for conservation markers. Can't hurt.
Easy enough.
All right, would you be okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, Mike, do you have any special conditions?
Yeah, it's just the following. General conditions 1 through 18 are standard special conditions. Prior to construction, condition 5 and 2 to have a pre-construction meeting and stake out the site. During construction, condition 11 to ensure best management practices are followed. After construction, condition 1 to file for a certificate of compliance within 30 days. Erosion control, condition 1 to ensure erosion control is in place and in working condition throughout the duration of ground disturbance. An elevation certificate, and also, when do you think you can get the revised pile plan, also noting those 2 conservation markers?
We can get that to you in the next 2 weeks if possible.
Okay, could the plan, also show the replacement tree?
The replacement, okay, yeah.
And sorry, I didn't quite catch that. When can you get that to us? Could you get that by like?
Maybe within the next 2 weeks, no problem.
Don't we usually
We-
ask for it by this Friday?
We typically
So we
ask
can
for
issue
it like
the
this
orders?
coming Friday or coming Monday, just so we can issue it in a timely manner.
Okay. Perfect.
Well, then I'm gonna, make a motion to issue the order of conditions with the conditions that Mike has just outlined. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The next three hearings are going to be continued. The first is 2509, 278 Ocean Street. They requested a continuation until they have finished with the zoning board. So I move to continue 2509. They didn't give us a date, did they? They're just,
I believe they did. Let me just reference that email quickly. I believe it's the second date in October.
Yeah, the
Okay.
15th.
October 15th?
Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly what I remembered.
I move that we continue 278 Ocean Street till October 15th. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 423148, 34 Marginal Street rear, has requested continuation till November,
Marginal Street rear, until November 5th.
November 5th. So I move that we continue 34 Marginal Street to November 5th. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And 91 Old Colony has already requested continuation to,
That one's November 5th.
and also November 5th. So I move that we continue SE 423131 to November 5th. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Chair Hannafin, one quick point. I was actually reading the wrong subject line. The marginal rear property would like to continue until October 1st.
Okay, take a revote to move 34 Marginal Street to October 1st. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Business item number 1, the Plymouth Avenue Pump Station has some planting changes. Is there anyone here to address this? No, okay. So apparently the original plan, and I don't ever recall seeing this because I hope I or one of us would have noticed this, they were going to plant buckthorn, very invasive, and greenbrier, native, but probably not something you want to put in a planned area. So they are now proposing to substitute, wait,
Beach plum and high bush blueberry.
with beach plum and high bush blueberry. And, right, because another one, they were gonna do huckleberry, but they can't source those. So I have no problem with this. This is clearly a preferable to buckthorn and greenbrier. I move to approve the substitutions for the planting plan of the DPW Plymouth Avenue Pump Station. Substituting beach plum, high bush blueberry, and, yeah, just those two. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have 74B Marginal Street, and this time we have you on the agenda.
Thank you. All right, I don't think I identified myself the first time, Nicholas Ling with Grady Consulting. So this project from a couple of years ago We unfortunately were not involved in the actual original hearing for the certificate of compliance, but it was originally denied, and here before you to discuss what we can do to get this one approved. Obviously, it's been a number of years since it happened. I went through what notes I could find, went back and forth a little bit with Michael, and he did what he could to help me out as far as finding what notes you folks had on your records to try and correct the situation out here. So I'm just going to briefly go through the list of things that Mike and I here found. Most of them have already been addressed. The first one was that an impervious table was not included on the original plan. That's been added to this one. This is obviously this is not stamped. We're not here for an actual certificate tonight. The shell parking area has been added to the plan. That was originally not shown. There were flood vents that are installed on the structure. Those have been added. They are kind of a little bit hard to tell, but there's a number of them. I believe there's 4 of them around the perimeter of the structure. And there was a planting bed added that was not permitted right along the top of the wall adjacent to the resource area. That was added to the plan. And there was discussion, I don't know if you folks remember, when this was originally being built on, the wall got cleaned up a little bit by Paul Armstrong, and in the process, a couple of the stones had a kind of protruding look to them. And it wasn't certain in the meeting notes from when this first came before you, if that had been done via field survey. We verified that has been done. None of those rocks are protruding along the top. They're all equal with the surrounding adjacent grade as you had requested originally. So we were able to verify all of those things and add those details to the plan. What we do still have an issue with is the 3rd floor balcony was proposed to be through flow decking, and we were unable to find any records to kind of stand behind this, but the contractor had multiple conversations with Bill Grafton, the agent at the time, regarding the through flow decking and what that would do to rain coming in the 2nd floor decking just beneath it. And I don't know exactly what the solution was, but there's not through flow decking installed on this right now. Even as such, we are actually about, I think, 10 or 13 square feet shy of the original approved impervious coverage for the lot. So the footprint was actually modified a little bit after your approval and shrunk on a couple of different spots, as well as the decking that was originally proposed to wrap around the entire side of the house. That was not done either. So there were a couple of changes made. Overall, I think it was for the better since we have less impervious coverage on the site than was originally approved. Obviously, we still have this issue with the through flow decking not being installed as proposed and approved, and we have this landscaping area to deal with. And I'm here before you this evening to try and figure out what we can do to move forward, what would be the positive desired direction of the board as far as arranging this to make this something that you can issue a certificate of compliance for. One last thing I'd like to note is that the planting area just so happens that the vast majority of the plants in the planting area are big leaf hydrangeas, which are actually on the DEP recommended list for plantings in salt marsh buffer areas.
Thank you. I remember this. I don't remember an issue with the
I don't remember
decking.
that at all
The
either.
decking, Bill Grafton might have had an issue with that. That I don't remember ever being an issue.
Does that show on, excuse me, Craig,
Go
does
ahead.
that show on those pictures?
The deck, yeah, this one here. I can bring it over to you if you want a closer look. I didn't print multiple copies since it's not a stamped plan or anything.
I think that comes under building, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't see what that has to.
I was actually visiting the property today while it was raining to get a better picture of that stone wall in the back, and it seems like the water is passing through those decks quite well. So,
Okay, I remember the sticking point was the stone wall abutting the marsh. And the fact that, was it acting as a revetment? Would you repeat again what you said about the stones and the movement of them?
That the top layer, that kind of, I forget the wording used in your documents, but they had some sort of like a spiked appearance, almost like they were creating a barricade of sorts. That top layer of stones through survey have proven to be removed, and it is a pretty smooth, flat surface on the top of the wall now.
Were they actually removed, or were they,
That was years ago. I can't say if those exact stones were removed, or if you put them in a better spot. I don't know, but they're not at the height they were back then, I can tell you that much for sure.
okay.
I was also not able to locate photos of the property during the denied certificate of compliance. So it's hard to tell, from my end, whether those particular stones have been removed or not. I didn't notice any, stones, like protruding or any, they were all pretty uniform in the back. I didn't notice any ones that stuck out.
As you went towards the marsh from those stones, Mike, was there any scour or anything, or was it just all filled in?
No, it was all Phragmites. There's a pretty thick wall of Phragmites, as you can see, back here, that pretty much, they grow right up to the, start of that stone wall.
I think that was, remember this discussion?
Mm-hmm.
So,
So what you see there now appears to be uncontroversial?
Regarding the conversation about grades, during that first meeting, there's, definitely a grade change. I'm not sure that was ever, hashed out fully during that first meeting, as well as the height of this wall. Stepping into this, situation a few years later, it's unclear, what that wall looked like a few years ago and what it looks like today, whether or not they did take off the trouble stones or not.
I can speak to the pre-existing conditions and everything. I was involved with this entire project from start
Go
to
ahead.
finish, so. I do know that there was an existing stone wall out there that's been out there for time immemorial. It was buried in a bunch of stuff, and as they started cleaning it up, I think Bill saw it, thought that there had been more things added at that point, and that's when it became a kind of an issue. There was some grading done, but that was, again, one of these issues, like when we remove a house that has a crawl space or foundation, and then they have to make the ground even. So that was really why this grade was kind of made even to that, but it was just, as far as I know, from when this lot was cleared, the old house was gotten rid of, and they got set to build piles. It was pretty standard as far as just clearing it, leveling it, bringing in what they needed to do. They really didn't add anything crazy to this lot. It was just kind of leveling it all out from that old foundation and the old house after removing it and getting a nice even surface to drive the new piles and build the new house. But the enclosure underneath is completely compliant. We've issued a certificate of occupancy and all the rest. If there's really only an issue, it's that rock wall, which, we look at all the solid vinyl fences all over in these velocity zones and everywhere else. The rock wall might not be that big a deal, ultimately.
From a floodplain perspective?
Exactly.
You don't see a, okay, thank you, Andrew. I know that, this was a real bugaboo for Bill Grafton, but this has been how many years? This went back to like 2020, I think.
Yeah, it's been at least 5.
And there is currently no evidence of scour or
No, I did not
issues
notice.
on neighboring properties.
I didn't notice any negative impacts.
yeah, it's not like it was brought up to the detriment of the adjoining properties.
Right. Yeah, it was, well, I know this has been going on a long time, and I think I am prepared to say we could move forward with the COC? What do you think? I know, you're the only other one who would remember.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. And Mike, are you comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with that decision.
Okay, I mean, everything else is closed, and, can we vote on this as a request for certificate of compliance? It's here as a business item? Does it have to be listed as a request?
Technically, they would have to give us the form and the fee and proceed with
everything.
that procedural way.
So, okay, so what I'm gonna say is, I think you're good to move forward with the COC and go through
Formally file it.
the motions and do all that, and, we should be all set.
Sounds great.
We'll,
Thank you.
we'll issue that. Thank you. Okay. Next up is 2104 Ocean Street. And is this Mr. Roderick? So would you just maybe give us a preliminary story of,
We're trying to market the property, and the broker suggested I clean the lot up. In the course of doing that, in the right-hand corner of the property, I believe it's probably the northeast corner. Anyway, came across a cable. There were guide wires from a pole. So the fella that was running the little bobcat there caught onto it, started pulling it out, and all of a sudden, he's over my protection for the property, which is, we had a sock there.
You have a silt sock.
Silt sock. So he went in and he pulled it out. Now, we were accused of dumping fill there. No such thing. Where would the fill come from? But what happened is he had to clean that area up after the cables are still down there. And after we saw that, let's get out of there, leave it alone, because what I found out is further down behind the Shell station, there's barrels and steel, but there was so much of it that's when I knew I had to come to you people for permission to do it. And that's where I'm at right now. But there was no fill over there. We just
Well-
kind of dressed it back up where the machine went in to dig. The cables were kind of like underground. But they're still there, I mean, if you wanted to see them. But nobody filled anything.
Well-
I ended up, a fella that was working down there gave me this notice, and it was never served to me. It was taped to a machine. Also, that chipper, that was never used on that property. Everything got piled at the end of it, just to have, after it dies, we'll probably just take everything out of there. But
The term fill is not always what people expect. Fill can be a tremendously minor, we're not talking about bringing in a load of earth or anything. What happened there is the guy operating the Bobcat, in messing with that cable, pushed through the silt sock, and everything went over the bank.
well, it went beyond the silk sock.
It went
because-
beyond the silt sock.
And then it looked like hell with the tires, made kind of a mess, and he just kind of tried to,
Well-
level it off and get out of there.
That material needs to be pulled back up.
Have you gone over there to look at it?
I have.
I didn't think it was like down the bank or anything.
Well,
But if
it
that's a
is,
solution, I don't have a problem with that.
it's through the tree line and down. Now, looking at the mapping, and this is not in any way exact, it appears to me you're about 100 feet from the river.
I have
Point.
an existing conditions there, I can,
Okay, and, obviously, it's riverbank, so technically, the buffer is 200 feet. So pushing that over into that is a no-no.
yeah, well, that
Okay.
wasn't the intent, it was just get the cable.
Yep, no, I understand, I can see, and.
I didn't want it go as though I'm trying to fill there, which we didn't.
Right, no,
I'm aware of a lot of the, I've done a lot of environmental work before I retired, including the lot next door, replumbing those springs back to the back of that coffee shop property, replicating the wetlands, and I just, I'm aware of it, I wouldn't, plus if I'm trying to mark, I don't need any aggravation.
what we need is for that material to just be pulled back up so that the silt, where the silt sock was,
Yeah. Yeah.
back in front of
But
that.
that's what actually happened, the cables, they're still there.
Yeah, I could see them in the,
They were pulled up, but
Debris.
further down along the bank, there's some, I'd like to get permission to go down there. There's oil drums, some steel, and I think that's more important than, I mean, that has to be done, what you mentioned, but
yeah, no, I totally agree, and if you want to go down to clean garbage and debris, you may do that.
okay, that's the biggest reason.
Just don't cut anything down. Don't cut anything. Don't
No,
cut-
he just suggested that clean the lot up, because if he's marketing it and you took a look at all the overgrowth, what you were paying for was, didn't look like much.
Yeah, no, I know, it had been overgrown for a while.
Once you
and
cleared
I-
it's a decent
I
looking
could
size
tell that
lot.
when you were putting it on the market, you just wanted to clean it up. I totally
Exactly.
understand that.
But I didn't, when I found out about the cable and everything, I went over there, I didn't really think it went down there, but, yeah.
It didn't go far, but it went further than it should have.
It looks it because it's disturbed. So the disturbed soil, even though it probably,
Well, the silt sock is down there
Okay.
pretty far. So if you can just take whatever got pushed down, can get scooped back up,
yeah, no problem.
that will, do you agree with that, Mike?
I agree with that. You may want to condition, no heavy equipment down that slope, down that bank to clear out, to like pull that soil back and also to clear out any large debris, that kind of could do some harm.
Mike, I don't think I'd be doing anything too big of a, it's not like an excavator or something like that. No, we're gonna try to do it from up top, but I may need to go in again with a little skid steer or something, a very, very small machine I gotta look at how far it is over the bank, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But the other stuff, I don't know if I'm gonna have to go and drill holes in these drums, put a chain or something, and then drag them up. But between the top of the slope, the top of the bank, and where they exist, there's trees, and I don't know, I can't send someone down and throw a 55-gallon drum on their shoulder, and there's some heavy steel too, but I think that's closer to the top.
Are
of
the
the
drums
slope.
empty?
Yeah, don't drill holes in them if,
Excuse me?
Are the drums empty?
I don't
You
know,
don't
because
know?
I didn't want to go down there, and they probably are.
I
don't-
would say
hope they
before
are.
you do any of that, Mike needs to take a look
I think that's fair.
and, go down that bank and see what's down there.
Does it make sense if I get, not me personally, but I have someone go down and let him know whether there's anything with oil? I have an environmental company there's monitoring wells on that property, there's like 4 of them.
Yeah, I mean, I would just like confirmation.
Oh, yeah,
before-
no.
Because if you've got a oil drum down there with toxic
It's my
material in
best
it,
interest.
yes, to make sure that's gonna be handled appropriately. So if you want to send your own party down there, that's fine, and report back what is down there and what may be necessary to move it.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, some of the pieces of steel, though, like I said, at the top of the bank, I don't think I need any machines or anything. I could just probably chain something to it and just pull it onto the top, within
Well,
that.
I would say have your people assess the situation. Tell Mike
Yeah,
what they tell you, and then let's revisit and see what might be appropriate for moving that material out
before,
of there.
before it's moved.
yeah, if they're empty, just, we could just probably move them.
If they're empty,
Yeah.
shouldn't be a problem,
Shouldn't be a
but
problem.
if there's, any material in them, who knows
Yeah, I
what
don't
that
want
might
that
be.
to happen, split
No.
the tank
Yeah.
open and it's
Right,
everywhere.
and then,
Be a
then you
nightmare.
have a serious problem.
Yes.
But yeah, in the meantime, if you can pull that material near the chipper, just back up. So imagine having the silt sock where it was. And, I mean, you can see it's here on this end and here
Yeah,
on
it's
this
at the end, that little bit of pavement, which was a tree line.
Right.
For a disturbed site, the Rivers Act didn't apply to that because of it. But, yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
All right.
I would say go along with that, and then have Mike take a look at these pieces of steel and stuff that need to be pulled out.
That need to be
because-
pulled.
Well, they're like at the top of the bank, so, I mean, it's something they can reach right there, and it's,
But you know what's happened all along there. I mean, one thing leads to another, and it's,
I may be misleading you when I'm saying it. It's like it's a one piece and then has two arms to it. I saw two of those, two or three of them, but they're right there. I just didn't want to go over that sock.
Yeah.
So they're there, but that's, without, I could do that without disturbing anything. So,
Well, you have your people look particularly at any drums, oil drums. Mike, go take a look at it yourself, just to get a look at those steel pieces.
Will do.
And see where they are and how they're situated.
Will do.
And,
I just have a question if that's,
sure.
it's off topic. but
Anybody can.
Your property abuts, it wraps around the Shell station, correct?
exactly, that's where the drums are.
Does so that abuts directly to the South River Park, right?
Yes.
To the what?
The Veterans Park, the South
Yes,
River-
yes,
River
yes.
Park.
Just, is the organization that was in front of us a couple weeks ago, are they aware that this property is for sale?
Yes,
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
yes.
Seems
Matter
like
of fact,
a
that's
simple
what-
A and R could do some real good.
That's
here.
where we push a lot of the brush until it defoils, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you end up with a lot less. So, but we pushed it down that end. But, so if that's it, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you
So-
do you need an address for me instead of taping these things to people's equipment?
Well, see, that got your attention.
It
though.
did.
Well, it's not that. My intent was not to.
I
see
believe
any-
I have your address from a previous hearing about the cobblestone and the
Yeah, the
seawall at your
wall, which,
property.
I think I have my
Yeah.
health back. I have to get back into that, but I had a couple of episodes with the hospital, so that kind of was put on the back burner.
I'm sorry.
So look out.
I hope you're well now.
All right, thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the final business item is 257 Oak Street, a hazard tree. Okay, you want to discuss this, Mike?
Yeah, I see the homeowners on too, but I'll start it off here. The resident would like to cut 3 leaning trees on the edge of lawn here at 247 Oak Street. There are 2 birch and 1 locust tree. Over the last year or so, they've started to lean heavily towards the driveway and their belongings around the driveway. The driveway's kind of horseshoe shaped, so they have like gardens, other things of that nature surrounding the driveway. And an arborist has deemed them to be hazardous. The homeowner has no problem stumping the trees at 4 feet, and the trees are located kind of on the cusp of the 25-foot setback to a bordering vegetated wetland.
That looks pretty hazardous.
Yes, I would concur.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any feeling about this? Yeah. I have no problem. I would move that we allow the property owners at 257 Oak Street to remove the hazard. Is it 1 or is there more?
There's
Is it 2?
3. They're
Three.
kind of
Okay, I can-
all within close proximity of each other right here.
To remove the 3 hazardous trees and to leave 4-foot stumps.
Perfect.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, requests for certificates of compliance. Um, Constellation Road, are we still
They're still working on that.
working? So I'm just gonna move to table
I
these.
think that's a good idea.
Table SE 42 1162 and 1690 Constellation Road until such time as the necessary work has been completed. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. SE 42 2950 Carolyn Circle. I think we're gonna table this one too, because this is gonna take a while.
Yes.
Mr. Gomes has some permitting to do, so I move to table SE 42 2950 indefinitely. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Birch Hill, 278 Foster Ave. Now, this is one where we were waiting to hear from Andrew Stewart. There are a couple of piles that were not in our original plan, and we just wondered if you had any issues with them?
No, I mean, any piles that were installed were required by the structural engineer in their plan.
Okay.
Whether they were included on the original site plan, usually those are preliminary, from a land
Right.
surveyor, So, no, all the piles that they installed there were fine. My issue is that they haven't had any of their final inspections yet, electrical, fire, any of that. So I haven't even gotten any of the documentation, had a request for temporary occupancy, anything, so I think they're jumping the gun a little bit on this request.
Yeah, but here we are where, from a conservation perspective, they've met our conditions.
Except that you're conditioning the work, right? And so the work is to build a floodplain compliant house. And unless I can confirm that the house has been built to floodplain standards, which are the building code and everything else, with a certificate of occupancy and an elevation certificate and all that stuff, you could be potentially issuing a certificate of compliance for a non-compliant structure. So that's why historically, we've always waited until, as long as I've been a contractor, in every town I've ever been in, we've always gotten the certificate of occupancy and everything first, and then usually follow up after. Concom's usually the last thing to do, usually because of plantings, or you're finishing up patios and stuff after the structure's built, all those kind of peripheral things outside of the structure itself, so.
Yeah, it just, I don't know, if we issue a set of conditions, you've met our conditions. You have floodplain conditions, they have to meet your conditions, your building, fire, everything. I'm just not, I don't think we have grounds to withhold a certificate of compliance if they have met our orders of conditions, and we're done with them.
So when your orders of conditions are to obtain all subsequent permits, correct?
Obtain all subsequent permits, but that doesn't necessarily give us a timeline for those. Okay, you've got ours, make sure you have all the other ones. You actually, you hold the cards here. You're the certificate of occupancy, your fire, your electrical, you're all the important things for the structure. We're just making sure that that complies with our protection of the resource areas.
Which is
Which they've done.
what you're doing when you're building a new house or a substantially improved structure is you're protecting the resource area. So inherently, that's, you want to make sure that structure is compliant. Otherwise, you're not protecting the resource area. If there's something wrong with that structure that I find after you guys have issued a COC, and I have to now issue them a notice of violation on something and say, you have to modify this now they have to maybe add fill to bring their grade up, or maybe they have to add another pile or something like that. And instead of doing an amendment to their orders of conditions prior to issuing a COC, they now have to file a whole new NOI or an RDA or some other permit to start the process all over, because you can't reopen the thing after you've issued a COC. So in those regards, I just think it's cautionary, it's a best practice to wait until these permits are completed, so I can verify that the job meets FEMA, meets building code, and protects the resource area for the function of floodplain management.
But that leaves, look at the certificate of compliance list we have already. These things get carried along. Some of these things take months, if not years. I just don't see dragging those for months and months. Anybody else have?
Yeah, I mean, we went back and forth on this, because
Yeah, we've talked about
I
this.
didn't like the fact that we were voting on, you asked us not to vote for approved certificates of compliances, in writing, and we were going forward and, voting to issue certificates of compliance. And I said, I wasn't comfortable with that, and, I'd like to have a conversation, a dialogue, and I did some, I was doing some research just to better understand the whole, the process of what the Conservation Commission has, purview and control over, and what, you, Andrew, have, control over, and, so I actually did some research. And so one of the things we're supposed to, look at when we issue the certificate of compliance is the as-built site plan. So I don't know, do any of these, do we have an as-built site plan?
Yes.
When we vote to issue the certificates of compliance?
Yes.
So is it the same as-built site plan that you have at the end of a project, or?
I will check to see if anything's been submitted to me as far as that goes, but we haven't even been requested to do any final inspections as far as plumbing, gas, electrical, fire, building, sheet metal, mechanical. I haven't even gone to look at the property yet.
And that's what, because we recently did a project at our house, and the last thing that we did was get a engineered, certified as-built site plan.
And that closed.
And everything had to be, and that closed out the project. And so as I was trying to learn about this process, I was wondering, okay, we're voting to issue a certificate of compliance. It says we're supposed to, have seen an as-built site plan, but I don't know how there could be an as-built site plan if Andrew hasn't finished all of his inspection work. And so that was one question I had, as I went and tried to sort through this. And the other, but then I also know that, there were, good old used AI. I mean, it's been a while since I did research, but AI is a pretty cool tool. So, I looked at what AI said, and AI was saying that, we could go ahead and issue certificates of compliance when we feel the work meets, what we've, set out for the project, to do. And so, and it didn't say anything about you have to wait, for all these other, building permits, So then I just began to wonder is, what problem does the Conservation Commission create when we issue a certificate of compliance for your office, Andrew? Does it send the wrong signal to, the customer, the person doing the project? I also thought, if we're comfortable with this, just like when the electrician's comfortable with the work done on a extension, an addition to a house, that doesn't mean that the whole project has been approved and, is get a certificate of occupancy. So then I wondered, well, maybe could we vote to approve the issuance of a certificate of compliance, but it doesn't go forward in the process, going to the registry of deed or whatever it is, until Andrew's completed all his work and all his inspections? So I was just, and that way we can go through our queue and say, okay, we're approving the issuance of the certificate of compliance, but the actual certificate of compliance doesn't officially get issued and starts down its own process, which is separate from Andrew's process, until Andrew is done and there's a final as-built.
Well, the way Andrew explained it, that the applicant is at risk, if he has to come back for a revision, as opposed to closing it out and have to apply for a whole new NOI. So it seems to me, we need to advise them they're proceeding at their own risk, that if they get the COC and then.
So you'll see from us, if they get a COC from us, they still have to work more off, with Andrew's office, and so they can't, they're not gonna be done until all Andrew's,
Right,
hurdles have gone
same
through.
point that Craig made, it's, you really hold the cards as far as them moving into the.
Certainly, of course, right? Now,
Your argument is trying to protect,
Them from having to.
Yeah, because
resubmit.
in the event we issued a COC.
it's more
and
about
they needed
being
another
on the
file
same
or
page,
whatever.
right, is really what it all comes
I-
down to.
It's good, let's have this discussion
Yeah.
and figure it out, but.
Yeah, it's more about just being on the same page, and like I said, look, from being a contractor, from working in this town and Situate and Duxbury and Cohasset and all these South Shore towns and Cape and everything, I've worked with a lot of different conservation commissions, and I've never built a house or done an addition or anything where the COC literally was not the last thing that we did. Because it's lots of times, like, we have plantings, you've got all these other things that you're gonna be adding around the house, not just building the actual house. For example, today I did a final inspection on a pool, okay, for Maycombers, one Maycombers Ridge, all right? They have an order of conditions on there. He was great, he was like, oh, this is great, this is the last thing I gotta do, I get my final inspection. I said, well, you need to, ultimately, to close the permit out, we still need an as-built for this. And you still need to talk, I go, have you spoken with Mike or Liz to work on a certificate of compliance or completion? He's like, what is that? What do I need to do there? And I told you gotta contact Mike, you gotta start working on this. They're gonna want an as-built too. I won't require you to give me your own separate as-built, separate from the Conservation Commission. I will issue your certificate of occupancy while you work with the Conservation Commission to remove your erosion controls and get your as-built. I said, I know you put the actual electronic pool cover, which you can have instead of a fence. I go, do you plan on putting a fence at all, even though you're not required? Well, I've thought about it. We actually are thinking about doing a fence. Well, that probably wasn't I don't think that was on your order of conditions. So if you do add a fence, you need to do that with Mike before you start trying to close out the permit, because you want to try to amend the permit and have it included. So again, this is just one example of, when I'm out there in the field doing my job, trying to say, hey, you need to do this, this, and this to comply with the Conservation Commission so that we can all be on the same page. But yet I'm saying, I'll close you out and I'll let this other department collect the as-built, and then they'll get the information, they'll share it with me through the floodplain permit, and you'll be closed out with all the permitting once you finish your COC with the Concom. And, that's kind of my rationale for the way I recommend doing it. Again, these are just recommendations. You're right, John, you guys, and Craig, you guys can operate however you want. And that's totally up to you.
I just want to make sure we're not harming. Somebody says, hey, you gave me
Yeah.
conditions, I met your conditions, give me my COC.
Yeah, and
Legally, I would like to do some more research into,
Yeah.
because I don't want us to be acting improperly.
or getting into like a constructive approval type of a situation,
Right.
right?
Which adds another, yeah. And I take your point. I will say, I don't think we've ever had anyone come back after, and we've issued COCs. Anybody ever remember one
Coming back and
having to reopen? I don't know, maybe they have, but not in my time. But I don't think we're gonna have a definitive answer here tonight.
Yeah,
I
but-
think we need to
But I think
continue the
and that's what
conversation.
that's what bothered me a couple of weeks ago, when you were asking us to withhold, and we were going ahead forward, and I personally, I wasn't looking at this as the Conservation Commission, what we can do, because we have our process and you have your process. I was looking at it as a tax-paying citizen, and what's the process?
Yeah.
And so, in my, I did process work, in my when I used to work. And I look at it as, there's a floodplain process, there's a Conservation Commission, COC process, and there's a building process. And my view is, as a citizen, as a taxpayer, someone who's doing something, I don't care. I just want to see one flow of processes and hope the departments are working together as opposed to button heads of, who comes first or who shouldn't do what. And so I was really, looking at this, and like I had a real life experience this past year because we did an addition. So I learned a lot about, the process. So when the electrician comes out and I'm saying, well, geez, conservation's not up here at all. We didn't have to do anything with, but it should be part of the process, and then it would be transparent, as to, okay, you've met all these requirements, but you still have to do these other things. And so,
Well, in,
If you do notice, though, on our permits, we do have under final inspections,
no,
we do
it's-
have a spot for
There's a little thing
conservation.
there for conservation, but then on the list, of the inspections and, then it sort of disappears as far as the actual implementation, getting to the final occupancy permit. It says if you're, within a bordering vegetation, et cetera, then you have to go with the Conservation Commission. But it's like, okay, you're done, go figure it out yourself, as opposed to be part of one integrated, seamless, process that the citizen would go through, so.
well, most recently, when you have had comments saying, I don't recommend the COC here, I'll be honest, I have used discretion in some of them. Mr. Gomes at 76 Carolyn Circle, no, I'm not going to issue anything for him because he is off the reservation there. But, some of these other ones, I'm thinking, well, what grounds do I have for not issuing this? And that's the question I need to have a better answer to. So, as I say, we're not going to settle this tonight, but I will put a hold on 278 Foster Ave until we can have more conversation on this, or until I can get more.
And I should be talking with the contractor today. He emailed me and we were gonna talk. It's just been tough. I've been pretty much alone in the
Yeah, I
building
know,
department
things
for the
are a
last couple
little,
of weeks. so,
everybody's a little
yeah.
overtaxed at this point. Okay, I will concede in this one, and I will table 278, well, not table, unless anyone else has a very strong feeling here, and not going to the mat on this. Okay, I move to table the COC for 278 Foster Avenue until we have settled the conditioning, permitting flow a bit better. May I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. This one's interesting. This is permit number 18. This goes to 1975. I've never seen one that old. 298 Plymouth Ave, permit issued in 75. Fill was brought in to create parking in front of the home and slope the grade toward the road for drainage purposes. The work was done as proposed. Okay, I move that we issue a COC for 298 Plymouth Ave. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You have to have been born to.
Okay, SE 422736, this is 98 Cherry Street. Have you been out there, Mike?
I have been out there. From what I noted, the area I know that there was an issue with cutting at this property in years prior. All of the vegetation seems to be well established again. There are conservation posts at the end of the street, delineating it as conservation land. The actual work here to elevate the structures and relocate them was never done. So the applicant is requesting an invalid order of conditions.
I thought that, we have another invalid order. I remember 98 Cherry Street, and we are requiring monitoring, but we've never had any monitoring reports.
There have been no monitoring reports, that is correct. The
So
area,
we need confirmation from someone that there has been a 75% success rate on the plantings.
Yes, for those plantings.
So when you looked at the file on this one, Mike, the other part of this is that there was a lot of encroachment on conservation land. I think the building may have actually even encroached, remember?
It did, yeah.
There
It was
was gonna be like a licensing agreement,
yes.
so was all that completed?
I would have to check that piece. I'm not sure about the licensing on the building itself.
Yeah.
It's like we got some information coming.
Okay.
Interesting citizen here.
Hi, I'm Kathy Muncy. I represent the Gibbs, Art, and Sarah, and they never did work on, the order went into place for the prior owner. They bought the property, they looked around, and they did some cosmetic changes. They didn't exercise the order, so I guess their position is that none of the conditions apply because they didn't exercise it. And they're asking, but go ahead, you look like.
No,
you
no,
had something.
continue.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to process it.
So it's as though the order didn't issue, but, and there's a spot that you can say that when you request a certificate of compliance, that you didn't exercise it, and that's their position. And there's no as-built because nothing was done, nothing was built.
This.
And it's not invalid necessarily, it's also,
Right.
time has passed, but they just didn't exercise it.
But we did require them to do various things on the property. There was a brick, an old brick patio set that either was encroaching on the resource area or, and they removed that, and we required various plantings.
Okay. But if nothing was done, why would they have to do that? I'm not
Well,
trying to be
because
fresh.
they were, one, encroaching on, the property was encroaching on conservation land.
But it has been there for over 100 years, since 1900, and that's been their side yard, and the town acquired it for $99.09 in '78. But it was definitely historic, pre-existing, it had been there for a
Well,
very
the
long
structure,
time.
but they had done,
The yard itself had been there. There's
well,
a-
but if the yard is encroaching,
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, go ahead.
Well,
Yeah.
town council was involved in this.
Yeah.
We had
Yes.
two previous lawyers
Yeah.
discussing it.
yeah.
I don't remember the outcome. The last I knew, we had
Yeah.
left it, they were gonna set up a licensing agreement, you know, because it's,
Because of the,
There was a situation right down the street in '84, and the town gave them the strip of land that they used, and their house was encroaching on it. So perhaps something in that neighborhood was amiss back in the 1900s.
no doubt, yeah.
But that would seem a better resolution for a yard that they've used since 1900, and to somehow, it's not part of their property anymore? I don't know.
yeah, I think it was argued. I don't know what the outcome was.
Yeah. You
But-
can't have adverse possession against the town, but this predated, well predated. I'm not sure anyone understood that piece of it before,
We,
but,
we talked about that.
yeah?
Um,
I wasn't part of
And
that
again,
discussion.
we weren't either as far as, we left it that town council and the other attorney were gonna work it out, and I don't know what the,
I
what
can
the
call
result
Bob and find out. But I think that might be a separate issue from issuing a COC for work that was never done. I don't think the conservation gets to decide what's an encroachment. I'm just thinking that out loud. If there is an issue with use, that's beyond the purview of this commission, perhaps?
Well,
Especially-
definitely,
Yeah.
the situation
Right,
with the building, and that's what we thought the attorneys,
I
Bob
wasn't
Galvin
involved in that.
and the attorney at the time. But there was also plantings.
yeah, I don't know about that, but I can find out. What would?
Well, we need, Mike, you need to dig into
Yes,
this. You need to go
absolutely.
back, you need to get the whole thing out and see where we are.
absolutely.
But you said, Mike, that the plantings were established, that when you went out there?
Natural plantings were, I'm not sure about
Oh, you
one
wanted
associated
additional?
with a planting plan.
I don't have perfect recall on this, although
I don't have any.
I remember it because I remember going there multiple
Okay.
times and speaking to Mr. and Mrs. Gibbs about, and I believe there
They owned
was.
across the street, are you confusing that?
Oh, no,
Okay,
that's,
okay.
I remember that one
Okay.
too.
I know something happened there.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a interesting neighborhood, but
So if they applied for an order of conditions and didn't exercise it, but plantings were a part of it, they're still supposed to do that?
That's,
well, I would need to go back and see the original
Okay,
application and the orders of conditions, and to refresh my memory, and,
okay.
yeah, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to
That's
go back
fine.
and dig a bit.
This is an
because-
old one, too.
Yeah, but I do know plantings were required,
yes.
and it was like a two-part, and then the other piece got handed off to Bob Galvin and the attorney to do a, whatever sort of agreement
Okay,
would satisfy that oddity of the house being, yeah,
it's there, yeah.
yeah.
I have some great old pictures.
Craig, I have a question. So there wasn't any, what was the order of conditions issued for?
You're gonna raise it up, I think?
For the, elevation of the home and the,
So if we didn't
ADU.
issue an enforcement order, we can't require them to adhere to any orders or conditions if the project was never started.
That's what I was thinking as well.
If we didn't issue an enforcement order, which I don't know why we would,
Yeah, no, we definitely didn't issue an
Right.
enforcement
I
order,
don't see why we can't issue.
because they
any-
just came,
Right.
to raise the house.
I would think we could probably just issue an incomplete or whatever it's, you can check off on the
That may-
certificate of compliance.
That may very well be, but I need to, I think, I'm not prepared to do that right now.
Why?
Because this was a very complicated situation.
But if there's, I hear everything, but
Yeah.
like, if the house is over the property line, that's none of our jurisdiction.
That's not our problem.
So-
But the yard was into the resource area, and that is our jurisdiction.
Okay, but it wasn't like that was something that was like pre-existing, correct? Like, I just don't, the project that
There was a
they,
clothesline and a mowed lawn that went out into, what?
And a gravel
Town
driveway.
land and also
Yes.
salt marsh, if
Stairs.
I
It
recall
went into
correctly.
town land
Okay.
and
Yeah.
the marsh. And we stipulated that they had to
Yeah.
mitigate that with plantings,
And-
et cetera.
I certainly
So-
don't know what's right or wrong, but we need to go back and find out.
And find out.
Where,
Gotcha.
where,
Okay.
Yeah.
where it was left off.
I still don't know, I mean, realistically, I think you'd probably close out the COC and then issue an enforcement order if that's what we really
Right.
wanted to do.
If you,
Yeah, I don't think we want to go there.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't know how, I don't know, I guess.
Yeah, no.
Maybe clarification is better.
We need clarification, exactly.
where would
And-
you get that from?
Well, first we need to go back and
And look,
review everything. And,
Okay.
minutes and the orders of conditions, and get up to speed on where this was left. And check in with Bob Galvin and see if he ever completed what, at the time, we thought was going to be done. Now, that's for the house, and correct, we're not,
right,
that's not our jurisdiction.
so it's
But the
just
whole thing was
looking at the
all
order.
one set of orders.
Okay. Can I come back in 2 weeks?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. We will
We'll
go
do our
back
best
over
to
the
have a little
record,
more
and
information.
if we find that, we're still not there, we will let you know, so you don't have to come and spend an evening sitting here again if we are still not prepared. Hopefully, we'll be prepared by then,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so, back on the agenda, Well, we can leave it here because it's a COC, but we will table it for now and see what we can learn.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting that. I forgot how complicated this one was, and
I think this issue's, just in my opinion, is very simple. I think Sam did a good job.
it probably is, but I have to,
I understand.
you know, I can't take the chance
Yeah,
of,
there's a lot going on the property. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I move to table the COC for 2736 until, what is the next meeting?
The next meeting is the October 1st meeting.
Until October 1st. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, SE 420549, 172 Carolyn Circle. This is another fairly old one. Can you explain what's going on? A partial COC for construction of a roadway?
Yeah, so the roadway was never completed as proposed in the subdivision and has left a number, if not all of the parcels, with an open order for that construction of the roadway. So this is just to essentially sign off that the road was completed in front of this home or throughout the proposed lot at the time. And then the other one, 3094, is for work that was never started or completed. The previous owners had proposed for a pool and other landscape initiatives across the property. Those were ultimately never started, so they're requesting an invalid order of conditions for that one and a partial order of conditions for 0549.
So is this the actual roadway that exists now, or?
Yeah, it's Carolyn Circle.
So why would a property owner need a COC for road construction? Wouldn't that be?
That would theoretically be on the developer if the developer actually seeked to finish permitting on that roadway or design it as constructed. I know Caroline Circle, it's supposed to connect with the side of Carolyn Circle that the Gomes property is on, but there's no, instead of having it as a circle construction, they built kind of like a cul-de-sac with a roadway going down to like the Gomes side of Carolyn Circle. That's my understanding, but it's kind of a dead end once you get down to 172 Carolyn Circle.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with Carolyn Circle. I'm just, once again, do you, I mean, you're familiar with Carolyn Circle, Bert?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of where this relates to conservation as opposed to
Yeah.
ZBA and planning.
That's my question. We don't generally, okay, and I'm gonna have to, you're gonna have to get us more information
Okay.
on 0549. Now, SC 423094, same property, but they had proposed to build a pool and do landscaping,
Yes,
and they never did?
they never did.
And are they requesting
They're requesting an invalid order of conditions. A certificate of compliance, sorry.
is that what we call them, invalid, or are they,
Incomplete, I can believe it's invalid. Let me double check on the form.
I mean, I have, the work was never done, I'm just, declaring something invalid doesn't ring a bell with me. Isn't there another term?
I think it's invalid.
Is it invalid? Okay.
It's partial certification, invalid, ongoing,
Okay.
I think, right, Mike?
Yeah,
Or
just,
complete.
I'm loading it up on the screen right now if it will cooperate. Yeah, so you have the options of complete certificate, partial certification, invalid.
Or invalid.
Order of conditions, ongoing conditions, or an ORAD.
Okay. So I move that we vote to issue an invalid order of conditions for COC for SE 42 3094. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we got one. But I'm going to table the very old one there.
Yes.
For the construction of the roadway, because that seems peculiar.
Okay.
Okay, I move to table SE 420549, also 172 Carolyn Circle, but concerning the construction of a roadway. May I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we did the continuations, correct? Yes. In that case, I move to close.
Andrew, did you have anything else you wanted,
Pardon me?
did you have anything else you wanted to take
No,
up?
I was just gonna say goodnight, and thanks for having
You're
me.
just enjoying sitting here?
Yeah, yeah, it's another Wednesday night, you know?
Okay, I move to close the Conservation Commission of Wednesday, Marshfield Conservation Commission meeting of Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. May I have a second?
Okay, sounds good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
See you.